Hey guys, we're back. We're ready to go for another show. Let me just do one more thing. I always do this. I leave my YouTube channel page open because I like to watch and sort of, just make sure I keep up with the chat before the show starts. And you guys are busy chatting in the waiting room before it goes live. So I like to keep an eye so I can jump right in the chat as well and start commenting. How you guys doing? Hey, sorry for the confusion this week. I was intending to do a special evening show with a couple of guests, and unfortunately, my entertainment coordinator let me know, that's AKA my wife, let me know that we were double booked for the evening yesterday. And we had an engagement that we needed to attend. And so I had to kind of backtrack on what I put out there. I was ready to go, and we had a couple of special guests lined up, but unfortunately, it's going to have to be postponed. So we're going to do that next week. We'll do that maybe next Saturday evening. So my apologies to the guys that were planning on being on the show. So we had Shane lined up. We had Vinny's World lined up. We also had David lined up, Yamasaki. And David, if you're watching this, hopefully you are. I need to have your contact information so I can send you the link. So please reach out. I did leave a message on your video that you put to be a guest on the show, but maybe you didn't see it. So hopefully you will, and everyone will have the link that I'll send out, and we'll be ready for an interesting live show with a few special guests. I'm looking forward to it. So Shane, I don't have my Tokai out today. No, good guest though. I have this one again. I haven't played this one in a while. It's been safe in my case, and I took it out today, and it was relatively in tune, which was actually surprising, because usually Gibsons are not very good at staying in tune for very long, but this one still is. So I was actually surprised about that, having a good time. So welcome everybody. This is show 273. I hope you guys have been joining in regularly. I think most of you that are here on a regular basis are the regulars, but every once in a while I do see a new name pop up. So let me say hi to the people that are already here. I always like to do roll call in the morning. Dr. Kramer 316, good morning. So that's a relatively new name. I haven't seen it here too often, so welcome. Cushman, Vinny's World. Hey, Vinny. MFN. We have Wayne McConnell, Profile Production, and Profile guest that I'd be playing my Super Strat. No, not today. Not today. Dominion Fretworks, a new name as well. Welcome. Jack Collins. And Jack says, everybody, I'm going to say Tony might play one of his Les Paul today. I think you meant might play one of his Les Pauls today. Also a good guess, but nope. Thank you for the thumbs up reminder at NFM. Thank you for jumping right in with that. And Cushman, it was asking, what kind of Gretsch do you have? What color? So I guess there was a little bit of Gretsch talk this morning. Mean Gene says, only one house decorated for Halloween this year, but they went all out with 10-foot tall skeletons and goblins. In my area, it's a mad competition here. Even taller than 10 feet tall. Skeletons, goblins, all that kind of stuff. I love Halloween, by the way. And I like the fact that everybody in my neighborhood does have great Halloween spirit. It's crazy here, guys, during Halloween. It's like a concert, man. The door does not, we don't even close the door between giving out candy and waiting for the next kid because it doesn't stop. We just leave the door open and it's one kid after another after another. We generally go through quite a few boxes of candy within, I'm gonna say, like half an hour, 45 minutes. It's gone, and we're handing out a lot. So I suspect it's going to be the same this year as long as temperature cooperates and we don't have a rainy night. Sometimes we get rain, sometimes we even get snow. So hopefully it'll be good. So the trick or treaters will have a good haul. Um, Mark is here. Mark John. So Mark, YouTube changed your name, changed everyone's name. Yeah, why is that? Maybe that's why I'm seeing so many unfamiliar names this morning. Interesting. I have to look and see why that is. Anyways, Mark says test it. Mark, you got some new gear this week? Keeley Halo pedal. Nice, man. Hey, that's not a cheap pedal. If my memory serves me correctly, that's a dual echo or dual drive pedal, I believe. Nice, man. Congratulations on that purchase. I think it's a relatively new pedal, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's endorsed by Andy Timmons. Is that correct? I haven't checked it out, so I don't know too much about it other than it's a double drive, not a drive, the delay pedal, echo pedal. Yeah, man, that's cool. Good. Glad to hear that. So you already tried it out in a live situation? Tested it for 4 hours Friday and 3 hours last night. Really, really cool pedal. Yeah, I would imagine so, man. Very cool. I love experimenting with dual delays as well, but I usually just use 2 delay pedals instead of a double delay in one. Just put 2 side by side and play around with it that way. I bet you that pedal would make a really great pair up if you take that and pair it up with the Hotone Verbera. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Mark, but I did a review on it. It's made by Hotone, and it's a dual. It's kind of a dual reverb. You can do a lot of really cool things with that pedal. And I should definitely experiment more with it. It's got a little bit of a steep learning curve to it, but because it's so versatile. But it's a great, it has really nice reverbs. And that you can do dual, you can layer your reverbs, and you can do the same with your delay, so then you cover all your bases. Martian Murray says his name stayed the same, but it's all lowercase now. It's strange because other people here, like Paul, he's got uppercase characters in his name. Interesting. All right, so David is here. Good morning, David. Hey, David, I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know if you caught it, I was trying to get in touch with you, and I realized I don't have your email anywhere. So I left a message on one of your videos, the video that you made to be a guest on the show, asking if you can send me your email so I can reach out to you and send you a link, because we postponed the live show that was supposed to happen yesterday due to other plans that my entertainment coordinator had made. And so I had to postpone it. So we'll try and do the live show maybe next Saturday, if that sounds good to you guys. So Jack says, I'm playing my Epiphone Dot Aquaburst. Love that name. Aquaburst. Sounds like a superhero. So what have you guys been doing this week? Anything? Anyone besides Mark? Got any interesting gear this week? I like to start off the show with that type of question just to see what's going on. Hopefully, it's not just me that ends up accumulating gear. Danielle says, this has turned into a humidifier cleanup day for me. Cleaning and blowing out dust, new filters. It's that time of year. It is. And actually, it's good that you reminded me because I'm going to have to find my small, I have a small humidifier that I keep in this room specifically in the wintertime. And I don't know where I put it. I hate when that happens. I put it away somewhere. I got to find it. It's just a small humidifier, not very big, but I like to keep it in this room because, as you know, in the wintertime, things dry out quite a bit. And having the humidifier here always keeps the guitars happy. So I gotta find it. Sometimes I put things away a little bit too well, and I can't find it anywhere. MFN says I'm playing my Fender Telecaster American Pro 2 thin line this morning. Very nice guitar. Who else is actually holding or playing a guitar while they're watching this show? I love that you guys do that. And Martin Murray says he's been on the fence about a Fender American Pro Classic Jazzmaster to trade or not to trade. Well, that all depends on how many other guitars you have and how badly you're lusting over the Jazzmaster. It's always something to consider. I also got an offer this week for somebody to trade a guitar, and he must have chickened out because he hasn't responded back. It's funny how people do that sometimes. They reach out to you and they say, "Hey, I spotted a guitar that you have for sale. Would you be interested in trading?" Yada yada. And then, if you entertain the conversation and say, "Yeah, sure, send me a picture of what you got," all of a sudden it's dead air. So, it's kind of a waste of time. Not that I was particularly interested to begin with, but I wanted to see what the offer was. I'm kind of in the mode right now to actually liquidate some of the guitars that I don't play frequently enough. But it takes time because, the market is a little slow, I find right now. Rico says, I used the Guitar Center 10% off used, bought a Frankie. I wired in the neck pickup. Love it. Not that many people actually do that, Rico. Take the trouble to wire in the neck pickup like that. They're cool guitars. I really like playing them. I tried a couple that are off the shelf, the real, retail versions. They're pretty nice. And with a 10% discount, that actually makes it even more interesting. The one I have, I built myself, so I like that one a lot too. It actually turned out great. Dominion Fretwork says, I can't watch the show and play at the same time, so I just watched the show. How come you can't play at the same time? Wayne says he just fired up the Robo Tuners on the SG. So you have one of those older SGs with the Robo Tuners, huh? How's that Robo Tuner hanging out? Basically, how's it doing after all these years? Is it still? Have you had any issues with it? I always wonder when guitar companies throw on some tech in their guitars, and I wonder like how long the technology actually lasts, and if you have any issues with that. A lot of people take them off, those robo tuners. I remember there was a lot of hoopla around them when they came out. A lot of people didn't necessarily like them or think that they were such a good idea, but they did sell some, and obviously they're still out there in the wild, and it looks to be like they're lasting. They're not falling apart, which is good to see. Dan says Fender Strat through my Vox AC15 with 212 greenbacks today. And yeah, YouTube changed my screen name as well. Probably changed mine too. I gotta check it. So a Strat through a Vox AC15 is a nice combination. Are you going in with pedals or are you just going in straight into the amp? I guess you really like that clean sound. Enrico says, yesterday I traded a Joe Satriani Indonesian Ibanez for a British Racing Green made in Mexico Strats. So what caused you to do that, Rico? You weren't bonding well with the Satriani model? And in Mexico, Strats sometimes get the short end of the stick. They don't get that much love. I don't know why. I think now, after so many years, like originally, the made in Mexico versions of the Strats were kind of shunned a little bit because people said, it's the Mexican version, it's not the American version. The American version's way better, yada yada. I don't know if that's actually true. I mean, I've tried a lot of different ones. I've tried the Mexican versions and the American versions, and you can get good ones of each and duds of each too. I've played some American versions of the Strats, and they weren't bad, but it wasn't like, wow, it didn't blow my socks off necessarily. So I really do believe that it comes down to the setup on the guitars. If you have a properly set up made in Mexico Strat, they're great. And you could almost buy like 2 made in Mexico Strats for 1 regular American Strat. So there's that. Warhart says, Robo tuners and pumped up kicks. So you're ready to go. Hey, that's cool. All right. Shane saying, good evening, gentlemen. All right, Shane. Jack says, I ordered the Epiphone Joe Bonamassa 1955 with P90s. Haven't got it yet, but I'm sure am pumped. Yeah, the P90s. I remember seeing the video on that where Joe was sort of pitching it, so to speak, helping promote it. And I like the P90s a lot, guys. I don't know. I know that a lot of people are on the fence about the P90s. You need one of each. I always keep saying that. Don't knock it till you try it. I mean, there are some pros and cons to each type of pickup, humbuckers versus P90s. But P90s do something magical on their own as well. I think a lot of people shun them because they're like, they look funny, and they're single coils. So I don't like the hum. But they have a really, really cool sound, a really nice bite to them. I don't know. I like them. I like them a lot. I've been playing. I have a couple of guitars with P90s, and every once in a while I bring one out, and it just reminds me how great they are. Who here hasn't tried P90s yet? I'm curious to know that. And Dr. Kramer says, my tuning machines suck. And Vinny says, mine still work fine. Just need to make sure not to lose the battery pack thingy. Yeah, it's true because there is batteries in there. It's electronics, right? Yeah. I didn't actually even think about that, but it's true. You have to kind of charge that up, don't you? That's one other thing that perhaps I wouldn't enjoy doing. I like the analog thing. Some young punk asked me oodles of questions about a guitar, but when it came to playing, ghosted me. Yeah, that's kind of like what's happening to me, Shane. I hate when that happens. What a waste of time. You know, if you're ever trying to sell anything on Marketplace, uh, Facebook Marketplace is the worst for that. People, it's almost like people forgot how to be respectful. You know, it's like they start a conversation and they don't end it. They just leave you hanging. Then come back like days or weeks later and then you just pick up where they left off, like as if you were waiting for them, you know? I remembered this morning that I'm having a little issue with one of my pots here on this guitar. Kind of comes in and out sometimes. I think I'm gonna have to break out the old deoxit and spray them up a little bit. Uh, Before I forget, guys, we do have a poll question today, so please take a look at that and cast your vote. We'll look at that in a little while here. Wayne says Gibson wouldn't ship robo batteries to Canada. Had to order from Germany. Really? Why is that? That's weird. Schallers are really good, Dr. Kramer. I highly recommend them. Probably the best you can get. So Rico didn't like the Satriani neck, a full C profile. So it was a little too chunky for you? Yeah, the neck is basically the make or break portion of any guitar, and if you don't bond with the neck, you're better off just getting rid of it. So hopefully the one you got now is much better. So Warhearts doesn't like. He played an Epi SG for years, hated it. Well, I mean, they're not for everyone. I get it. I shunned the SGs for years, and I just got one recently, and I love it. So I kind of regret not finding the right one earlier. But I think it's also because I was playing the wrong type of SG. They're not all the same, you know. And I tried a few, and it never really took till this one. And then this one's like, I love this one. So Danielle has a question. He says, general experience with bolt-on neck guitars. All too often I have to loosen bolts and realign the neck. Maybe they're just loose in the pocket like that. I don't really find I need to do that. I don't think I've ever done that, to be honest. I haven't had any issues with mine. What about you guys? Anyone else? I mean, to shift like that in a neck pocket would mean you probably have a loose neck pocket. Sometimes they're super tight in there, and so much so that you end up getting cracking in the paint at the neck joint sometimes, which I hate, but it happens a lot. So yeah, if you're getting shifting, it's probably because for some reason your neck pocket is just too big. The best is when they offer you a trade for something less than what you have and bark when you ask for cash to make up the difference. It is weird when they do that, especially if they're the one instigating the trade. People try. Most of the time, I don't necessarily think too much of trading gear. Like I don't, especially guitars, I don't really entertain that too often. Sometimes there could be something interesting, but most of the time it's like meh. The only time I might consider a trade, even if it seems to be like tit for tat. If you're trading a guitar that you're not necessarily interested in, but it's the same value as the guitar you're trying to sell. If you don't have any takers on your guitar for whatever reason, and the other guitar seems to be a little bit more of a popular model, sometimes I'll trade just so I can sell the other guitar easier. You know what I mean? Like certain guitars, like Ibanez guitars, are very popular. Certain brands are very popular. There's a lot of people looking for them. So if you have like more of an obscure guitar and there's not that many takers, trading for a more popular guitar like an Ibanez or something like that, sometimes you can actually flip it quicker. So if you've been sitting on a guitar for a long time, it's another strategy you can use. Okay, I'm just scrolling, guys. I'm trying to keep up with you guys. I'm gonna scroll towards the bottom here. It's getting. Oh, I almost forgot to mention. I finally got one of these. Took me a while. Got one of these this weekend. The ODR1. You guys know about this one? Made by Nobles. Nobles. I always laugh when I say it that way. Great, really nice overdrive pedal. Nice and warm sounding and natural sounding. It's a lot of fun. And I've been meaning to try this one out for a long time. Never ended up getting one. A lot of people are selling them, but they're selling used for a lot of money. So I ended up getting this one for a relatively good deal. I think it's not in tip-top shape. There's a small little nicks in the finish, but it works fine. And I really liked it. I was playing it today. I was playing it through the Princeton reverb that I built. Great match for the Princeton, by the way. It gives it just enough bite without becoming harsh or anything like that. And one thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know why more pedal makers don't do this. I don't know if you ever saw these, but in the back of them, see these little tabs here? There's little metal tabs that you loosen the little screw and you can actually flip out, and you can actually like screw it down onto your pedal board. And I thought that's a genius idea. I don't know why other people don't do that. The only thing I don't really like about this pedal is the fact that they put all of the inputs and outputs on the top. I would have preferred to have them on the side because it's typically a Boss style pedal, more or less, but they put all the inputs and stuff on the top here. So yeah. The ins and outs, there's an extra one here. So you have in, you have your out, and you have a remote switch, kind of like a switch pedal. You can actually extend, I guess. I don't know why you would do that, but maybe some people want to do that, which is great. And this pedal is actually made in Germany. They wanted to originally call it the OD1, but because the Boss already had an OD1, they changed it to ODR1. They have a couple of versions of these now. Some of them are crazy expensive if you try and buy one of the old ones, but I don't think you really have to go that far. Yeah, you can fit more pedals, except all the other pedals I have all have the inputs on the side typically. So I'm not really saving that much room. But yeah, I recommend that pedal if you guys are into natural sounding overdrives. Mark, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it definitely is fatter. I was playing it, like I said, I was playing it through the Princeton, and I had this on the board, and I happened to have another overdrive pedal right beside it, so I was just switching between the two. Amazing difference between this one and the other one. The other one, this made the other one sound so thin and like, brittle compared to that guy. Um, so big difference. Sounds great. The single coil, I haven't tried it with the single coils yet, this one, but yeah, people do say it does really work well with single coils as well. So I haven't put it through its paces yet. I just plugged it in for a few minutes actually before the show started today, and already just with those, couple of little licks and a couple of chords sounded great already. And I haven't even like experimented enough to find a sweet spot. So, but um, the spectrum knob. So the second knob here is a spectrum knob. So, other pedals have a tone knob. The spectrum knob works a little different because it kind of shifts the whole spectrum of the sound. You know what I mean? It's not exactly the same as a tone knob. Works a little different. All right. All right, guys. So you guys you're not piping in terms of any other additions to your gear. Is that because of pricing? Is that because it's harder to get things at a good price now, or just because you have basically what you need? Curious to know what's going on out there. Um, hey Ken, no worries, man. Ken says he's a little late. The important thing is that you're here, man. Um, so Warheart says, but when I get the correct pots, I'll rewire my chips and finally. I got an Alnico 2 and a Fleor V for it. So you still haven't resolved that issue with the pots? You're still working on that? Interesting. I thought that would be rather easy to fix. Just get the right pots, put them in. I usually have a few extras lying around whenever I do a guitar rebuild or I tear apart something. I usually keep the parts, so I have a parts bin going, and in there's probably a few additional pots that would still work. Sometimes I put them in there temporarily, then eventually, get a good, if it's not the best pot, for example, I'll just put it in temporarily so I can use the guitar, and then eventually when I'm in the store or come across a good deal, I'll buy it and I'll fix it. Interesting that oh Jeff Jeff says I got the Iomi SG, love it. I also got a couple of Gordon Smiths with P90s, also love them. So we do have an SG and a P90 fan in the house. Very nice, very nice. So Warhead says I've rebolted cheap Strats, a Squire, and a Quart. You probably would end up having that neck issue on lower end guitars, perhaps, where the fit and finish isn't as precise, and they're probably not using tolerances that are that precise, so you could get shifting on the neck like that. Shane says there are sometimes dudes in the Japanese marketplace selling chipsons without mentioning their chipsons. You got to keep your eyes peeled, Shane. Never assume. Always double check. If somebody is selling a guitar or something that is supposed to be a Gibson and you're not 100% sure, then just take a screen capture, post it. There's a lot of forums on Facebook and stuff. And you can easily just post it there and say, guys, what do you think? And most of the time, like you probably can tell anyways, Shane, but if you're not sure, most of the time, guys will be able to point them out quite easily. If you're never sure, one of the telltale signs, especially on these chipsons, is the truss rod. If you tell the guy to send you a picture of the truss rod, just remove the truss rod cover and take a picture of it. The Japanese, or sorry, the Chinese chipsons they never use the right truss rod. Never. As far as I've seen. So far, I have never seen one that has truss rod like that. You can tell there's a couple of different things. The truss rod usually is wrong. The angle of the neck, not the neck, the headstock is often wrong. The plastics are not the right color, including the binding and the fret markers, usually not the same, not the right color. You can tell they're mother of toilet seat cover, usually. There's that. The positioning of the bridge sometimes is off. The type of bridge that is being used, clearly not the same. You can tell quite easily on that. And sometimes now some of them that I've seen are getting a bit better in that they, on the actual binding, they're actually including nibs. I've seen that a couple of times now, but generally most of them don't. So sure, they can tell you like, oh, it's it's been refretted, that's why the nibs are gone, but most of the time you can tell. Hey, Michael. Thank you, dude. Michael says, I love your content. Well, it's great to have you here, dude. Shane says, I use my EQ as a booster. That's absolutely right, man. EQs work great as a booster. A lot of people don't know that or don't think about that for some reason, and actually run out and buy a booster pedal if you have an EQ pedal. And everybody should have an EQ pedal, man. If you're playing, if you're simply playing at home, probably you don't need it. If you're playing by yourself, but as soon as you're playing with other musicians, maybe another guitarist or bassist, singer, what have you, an EQ pedal will save your life, man. It will allow you to cut through the mix without necessarily having to boost up your volume and get into a volume fight with all the other members of the band. So I always recommend. Let's see here. Someone's saying, I'm just about out of storage space. May 1 or 2 guitars, and after that I need to build an addition. Oh, I thought when you were talking about storage space, you were talking about hard drives. I'm like, huh. But no, you mean guitars. Okay, makes sense. Sorry, I'm slow this morning. Maybe a little bit too much wine last night. But I hear you, dude. My racks down there are holding way more. I don't know what the weight rating is on those racks, but I'm pretty sure I've gone over by at least double. They're designed to fit 5 guitars, and I got way more than 5 guitars on there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So one of them has 8 instead of 5, 3 more. And the other one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 more. So the room is getting too small. I can't fit another rack in here. This is why, actually, this segues very nicely into the question that we had for the poll question. And might as well look at that now, since we're on the topic. So the poll question, and if you guys don't know where that is, it's usually in the community section. And if you go in there, usually you will see the posts. And so the question this week was, do you think hanging guitars on wall hangers is a good idea? And the reason why I asked that is exactly for that reason, where people are running out of space, including myself. I've never actually considered doing it till recently, because I'm like, I have no more room, honestly. There's like guitars hidden everywhere here. So I said, you know what, I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to buy some wall hangers. And so I actually bought a bunch. I've only actually installed three, which are right here. You can't really see them. And I have another wall on that side that I wanted to put another three, but I haven't done it yet. And I don't know if I'm gonna do it because I got other stuff there for the time being. And I felt a little bit nervous about it. I don't like to have guitars hanging out like that, but nobody usually comes in this studio except me most of the time. Um, so they're relatively safe. They don't move very often, but I always feel like what happens if, for whatever reason, one of them falls off the wall. I've made them pretty solid, and I made sure I put some nice anchors in there. And since I don't move them around so much, they're pretty safe. But it could happen. I generally like to keep my guitars in cases most of the time. But cases are becoming more and more expensive, as you guys know, especially if you want to get nice molded plastic cases. Those are the best. They last forever, and but they're very expensive. I mean, they're pushing $200 now if you want to get something new. So I'm always on the lookout for used ones. Whenever one pops up on the used market for a reasonable price, I try and snag it. So let's get back to the poll question. So 125 votes on the poll question so far. And I'll start off with the least popular answer. 12% of you said, so do you think it's a good idea? So 12% of you said, not really. I worry about tension and humidity, which, of course, humidity will affect your guitar if it's in a case too, regardless. A lot of people think the case will protect it from humidity, but it generally doesn't. You still have to be careful with humidity issues, whether it's in a case or not. But probably a guitar that's left out obviously will be affected more or quicker. So that's 12%. 12% of you said that's not a really good idea. 17% of you said it's fine, but only if the room is temperature controlled. And that's the logic I use. I mean, look, if you're buying a guitar from a store, they're all on racks, all of them. And many stores that I'm in are too big to be humidity controlled because it's pretty expensive. Generally, they'll have a smaller room where they have acoustic guitars, and that room will generally have like some kind of a humidifier in there. But the regular stock that is on the wall usually is just there. So 17% of you said it's fine, but only if the room is temperature controlled. So I kind of don't completely agree with that. 22% of you said never. Guitars belong safely in their cases, and I agree with that. I do feel better when a guitar is in its case. Less chance that something's going to happen to it, for sure, 100%. And then 50% said absolutely. It looks great and saves space. So 50% of you are fine with it. So that was interesting. I thought there would be less people okay with that. And then there was a couple of good suggestions as well. One fellow said, I made coat hangers, but for guitars. My studio is a spare bedroom with a closet. Open the closet, and there's a row of Stratocasters hanging in there like clothes. I've seen those hangers actually. Somebody actually made hangers like that are made specifically to hang your guitar like in a closet. So I guess that would work as long as you don't hang them too close together and then they hit each other and they nick and ding each other. A couple of people have mentioned that they use the hanger idea. One guy says, well, Vinny says, not for me, earthquake zone. See, I didn't think of that. That's a good point. Like we almost never get almost never, not never, but almost never get earthquakes here. I'm in Canada. But it's actually a good point because, hey, never say never. You never know, right? So if there is an earthquake, that's a good point. But it's got to be a pretty strong one, I would think. Mind you, if it's knocking guitars off of the walls, personally, I think it's going to knock the guitars off every other stand that I have in this room as well. So there's that. The good thing is if ever there's a flood, right? If you happen to be in the basement, well, the guitars that are hanging off the ground like that are safe. Whereas the guitars that are like on stands that are close to the ground, like these, are not as safe. Now, granted, you're going to have to get maybe over 5 inches of water in the basement, which is a nightmare to begin with. But yeah, I would tend to maybe have the more expensive guitars higher up, just like they do in the stores. Our own Steven here says, I've been attacked by gravity on many occasions in my 65 and a half years. I'll do everything in my power to protect my guitars from the effects of gravity, except for when I use them, they live in their cases. My daily players are on stands, but those are the only exceptions. If I had a dedicated studio room, I might keep them in a rack stand, but I'd still shy away from wall hangers. I get that. Um, Someone else says, I just bought a Les Paul. A tech told me never hang them on the wall or them put them on stands. And he told me none of his friends that are techs, luthiers, or repair people put Les Pauls on stands. I've seen too many volute breaks, so no, not a Les Paul. I understand what you're saying. I understand. Les Pauls are a little bit more delicate when it comes to the neck, the headstock. We've seen a lot of breaks happening. The good news, though, is if your headstock does break off and it's repairable, the repair will probably be stronger than the guitar was originally. So there's that. Once it happens, you fix it and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. I know it's a weird way to think about it, but a lot of people do think about it that way. And then we have the opposite here. I have 22 guitars hanging on a string swing hangers. That's the device that I was trying to remember. They're called string swings. They are nitro finish safe. My guitar built studio has heat and an AC and a humidifier for colder months. I use sound hole humidifiers for the bracing uh, of the acoustics, and I've been fine for 5 years. Plan for the worst weather extreme and always look out for your investment. A good security system is also advised. I agree. Paul says, one small mistake, hanging up the guitar or taking it down, and you will be in tears. I know. I do. I totally understand that. And just for the record, I don't put expensive guitars on the wall. Most of the guitars on the wall are relatively inexpensive. The three that I have here, I have EART or ERT Telecaster. I have a Donner HSS Strat style guitar, and I have a Harley Benton Pro Series guitar hanging there. So no super uber expensive guitars. All right, guys. Hey, I would appreciate some thumbs up if you don't mind. We have 59 people in the house today, a nice group. And please don't lurk. Say hello. We don't bite. Axelon Gaming says hello. Welcome. A new name, I think, as well. Today's a little tricky because apparently YouTube is changing people's names here. But I'm glad to see a few new names. Welcome, guys. Join in on the chat. Don't be shy. Danielle says, I've seen braces advertised to attach to headstocks before putting guitar cases before shipping. Not sure if they're selling. I haven't seen those, Danielle. That's interesting. I'd love to see what those are. Mind you, I don't usually ship guitars all that much anymore. If I sell, I try and do all my wheeling and dealing local now. Shipping is too complicated, especially now with tariffs and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, why bother? Just sell local. Um, yeah. So Shane says the Canadian Shield is the least likely place in the world to have an earthquake, so you're probably safe. It's happened though, Shane. It's happened. Not very strong at all. Like sometimes I'll feel something that feels almost like a heavy truck is driving by, and that's the extent of it. And then I wake up in the morning and people says, "Hey, we had an earthquake last night." It hardly noticed, to be honest, and I'm happy about that. That's one thing we can't necessarily complain about here is that we don't. It's not necessarily an earthquake zone. We might get blizzards, we might get flooding from the time to time, but we don't usually get earthquakes. Vinny said, I saw some footage of that vintage Les Paul shop in Taiwan during the recent earthquake, and it almost gave me a heart attack. Vinny, I don't know which video you're talking about, but it sounds scary. Warhart wants to know anybody got a double guitar? If so, do you have the case? So double guitar, are you talking about like the double SGs like the Jimmy Page used to have or some other model? I would imagine you would need a case for that if you're intending to actually take it out of the house. I've never personally seen anyone that wasn't in a video, I mean live, um, playing a gig or rehearsing or anything like that with one of those double neck guitars ever. So I guess they're cool guitars, and it might be cool to have one around the house, but I don't know how practical it would be to carry that thing around with you. And of course the issue with like how do you put that on a stand? I'm pretty sure the regular stands don't work, right? So you would have to probably keep it in the case all the time. Uh, my house accumulates so much dust seemingly overnight that I would not be able to keep guitars on a wall clean. Do you have air conditioning? Do you have some type of forced air system in your house? If your ducts are dirty, ducks, not ducks like quack quack, air ducts, then most of the time you're going to get a lot of dust in your house. Keep those filters clean and you should be fine. Or just dust a little, a little more often. Oh, man. So uh, Ian Nuns618 says, I was just on another channel and my channel name was on it. Here it's my handle. Is it the settings? Shouldn't be. I didn't change anything. I'm not sure what's going on, guys, to be honest. I don't know. I'm going to look into it later on. I'm not that worried about it, whatever it is. All right. So Shane is saying Eastwood is selling a metallic green lefty double neck, and I'm tempted. So I've never had a green guitar. Well, actually, no, that's not true because uh, my Harley Benton is kind of green, but not like it's not leaf green. It's more like a blue green. So metallic green is pretty cool. And it's a double neck on top of it. Well, Shane, it would be cool to at least have it for a while. See if you bond with it. Double neck is always something. I've never owned a double neck guitar. I've been tempted a couple of times. One time I saw the Ibanez version of the SG. You know, Ibanez was making a lot of copies of other guitars back in the day, and they have a copy of the Gibson SG double neck, like the one Jimmy Page uses. And I've seen it in a store. That store is gone now, but they used to have one in this, and I looked at it. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. Not practical, but cool. Needless to say, I didn't buy it. Do I regret it? Not really. It would probably be, a temporary thing just to kind of get a quick fix, see what it's all about, and then sell it. What I did see recently actually was quite surprising because I haven't ever seen these before. Uh, there was a recent article on a guitar that I saw that used to belong to Eric Clapton, and it was a 12-string Gibson Les Paul. Have any of you seen that guitar? um, I believe I don't know who owns it now. I think it's Warren Haynes. I think Warren Haynes owns it right now. And I've seen a picture of him playing it. And it's really cool because it's a little odd looking because it's like a Gibson Les Paul, Sunburst, regular Les Paul. But then, of course, has this huge headstock because it's a 12 string. And apparently, this guitar was played by Eric Clapton, I think during the Leila sessions. So it's really different. I wonder if Gibson's eventually going to make a reissue of that guitar. Because, Gibson loves to reissue everything. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. And speaking of reissues, that actually segues nicely into the next topic. Have you guys seen the teasers for the Back to the Future guitar? That I think I talked about it. How long has it been now? Probably close to a month, probably more than that. Basically, Gibson is rolling out the Back to the Future 40th anniversary guitar. They have a couple of models coming out, and I spoke about this. I don't know if you guys remember or not. There's actually a really cool video. I gotta say, it's well done. I saw it this week. It popped up in my feed where they had the DeLorean, with all the switches and stuff like that, and the smoke and all that cool stuff, and just basically throwing back all that great stuff to the Back to the Future movie. And one of my favorite movies, by the way. I think that movie held up extremely well, even after all these years. So basically, they in recognition of the 40th anniversary of the film, which was released in '85, I believe, they released some new models of guitars. So if you're interested in maybe owning one of those guitars, you can grab one. Of course, I think one of the guitars is the Gibson ES 345, which is the cherry red guitar that McFly used in the scene where he was kind of like getting carried away on stage with a Johnny B. Good, and then he kind of lets loose. I love that scene. Actually, it's very funny. So that guitar is one of the guitars as well that's being that got re-released. And I think they're coming out. I don't know if they're coming out with an Epiphone model. Am I mistaken? I'm not really up to speed on whether or not they're going to be doing an Epiphone version. But that's a very cool guitar. I think the only thing I don't like about it is the fact that it has the Bigsby tremolo on it. But a lot of people take those off and then just convert it to a regular bridge and stop tail version. It's a cool guitar. I don't know what they're selling for though. Let me see if I can find that information for you guys real quick. I don't see it. I gotta find it. If any of you know how much it costs, if you can find it, let me know. I'm just trying to. Here it is. There we go. Found it. Yeah, so the Back to the Future 1955 ES345 collector edition, lightly aged, is only $19,999. $20,000 out of stock. Now they do have an Epiphone version, so I answered my own question. They do have an Epiphone version. Back to the Future ES345, only $999, also out of stock. So I don't know if kind of an easy decision. $20,000, man. Ooh, that's a lot of do re mi for a movie guitar. Yeah, the Epiphone looks nice, and it's only $1,000, so maybe start with that. It's funny because again, they keep on doing it, and over again, and we almost forget. Like we're like, oh yeah, but it's a 1955 guitar. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a 1955 guitar. You have to keep that in mind, guys. So they're charging you $20,000 for basically a guitar that is, I would say, just a little different than the Epiphone version, perhaps. $20,000 is a lot of money. If it was a real 1955, that'd be different, but it's not. They want us to forget that part. Anyways, if you have 20 grand, burning a hole in your pocket, you know what to do with it. All right. Profile Production says, hey, Tony, I'm building a Jazzmaster. Any thoughts? Cool project, man. What kind of advice are you looking for on it? Oh, yeah. And Shane, by the way, Shane mentions he's going to play Megadeth The Conjuring for a Halloween concert. So I have to dust off the 24 fretter. Yeah, that's cool. Halloween party, huh? I was thinking about you, Shane, because I know you're a big Megadeth fan. And I just heard that Iron Maiden's going out on tour again with the Run for Your Lives tour, the world tour. And tickets are on sale already, I think. 50 years of Iron Maiden. And there's a special guest, Megadeth. I believe Anthrax is also going to be there. And for you, vintage headbangers out there, it could be a good show. So I don't know if they're going to be playing your neck of the woods, Shane, but I know you're a fan, so maybe keep your eyes peeled for that. Searching for Tone says, Andy Guitar Geek said there's another round slated for 2026, so don't go buy the Epiphone for $3K, like one guy on Phil McKnight said he sold 2 and made $4K. Okay, good advice. I'll keep watching. Yeah, David. Says this is it would be fun to throw the EAS 345 in the back of a four-wheel Tacoma. I never get tired of watching Back to the Future either. I'm long overdue. It's been a while. Yep. Marty McFly, 1955, is playing a 58 ES 345 through a 59 Fender Tweed amp. Yep. That's well-known movie trivia, that the guitar and the amp that he was playing wasn't the right the right model for the year that the movie was supposed to be in. So they kind of messed up on that. Rexomatic says, good morning from Phoenix, working on plans for January's NAM show this week. Yeah, we keep forgetting that NAM is on the way, right? It's happening soon. Yeah. One year I'm going to go down. It's just that it's the busiest time of year for me. Hard to get away during that time. But it would be cool, going to the mega event. I always like the hype around the show, so it'll be interesting to see what they come out with this year. Tony, big show, excuse me, big show coming will be Rush. Yeah, they finally did announce some Montreal dates. So I like to think that my video helped encourage people to reach out to them and maybe add the Montreal dates. But I have a feeling they were probably going to do that anyways. So happy about that. Not happy about the ticket prices though. They seem to be very expensive. Everything's connected. Hello, how are you? Welcome. Nice to see you here, man. All right. Shane says he saw Megadeth in Japan and got a speeding ticket on the way back from the concert. So you were all hyped up on adrenaline. What gauge strings do I use? Typically nines. I've tried a bunch over the years: nines, tens, 12s, eights. I even have a set of sevens that I haven't ever. I got them just out of curiosity, meaning to put them on a guitar, and I haven't done it yet. That should be interesting. They even have the 8.5s now, so there's something out there for everyone. Hey, do you guys remember Bootsy Collins? That crazy dude who would play funk. He's a bassist with the star sunglasses, star-shaped sunglasses, and the crazy afro, and sparkled outfits and crazy shaped basses. Well, he's turning 74. I think it's today. Guy's 74. I don't even know if he's still playing anymore, but I remember seeing him very often back in the day. Very flamboyant, to say the least. David, they are not skipping Montreal finally. They've added the Montreal dates, so they're coming. Which if they would have skipped Montreal, it would have been odd, because there's a huge Rush fan base in Montreal. So there are some Bootsy fans in the house. That's cool. I thought, he's an old dude, right? He was around a long time ago, and figured maybe you guys didn't know too much about him. If they're younger people here, perhaps. I did see that apparently there's some new models that are coming out as well in the Yamaha camp. They're coming out with a Smashing Pumpkins designed series, I think. This is a recent announcement. I think they announced it not too long ago. And apparently it's to celebrate the Smashing Pumpkins' first Japanese show. First Japanese shows in 12 years. So Yamaha's bringing out a couple of custom guitars with some interesting paint jobs and all that. So if there's any Smashing Pumpkin fans in the house, that could be something interesting. I'm not a big fan, but it's interesting to see that Yamaha is doing something special around all of that. I don't know if you've heard about that. If you heard about anything about that, I don't know if you were following that. So yeah, interesting stuff. Other things that I noticed this week that I wanted to maybe bring up to you guys as well. Um, the SE Studio Standard from Paul Reed Smith Guitars was released a little while ago, back in September, and I'm not a I'm not feeling the warm and fuzzies about that guitar. Did you guys see this? It's kind of like a Strat shaped guitar, but not really, and it's got some interesting features, DNA from Paul Reed Smith, but I'm not sure, man. Looks not for everyone. I'm not feeling it. It's not like a Strat shape like the Silver Sky. It's slightly different this time around, and I don't know. I'm not I'm not digging it. I gotta be honest. So maybe some of you are interested in that, but for me, nah, not so much. I'm waiting for something a little better. There hasn't been that much that has like knocked my socks off lately. That I was waiting for, and like I can't say there's something really wowing me right now at this very minute. How about you guys? Like, this is why I'm looking forward to NAM, because I figure maybe if they announce some cool stuff at NAM this year, um, maybe that's when the new stuff comes out. There could be some cool things. The only thing that I'm really itching to try, and I'm hoping to get my hands on one real soon, is the new Harley Benton 80s style guitars. You guys probably have seen those. They're kind of like Charvel knockoffs, but I'm curious about them. So I'm trying to get one. Not that I need another Charvel style guitar, but I'm curious because they're very affordable, and they would probably scratch the itch for many people that are like looking for like a Charvel style guitar and don't want to spend too much money. The other interesting news, and this was published recently as well, that I caught on my feed, is that there's an early Eddie Van Halen Kramer ad, and it just sold for $2,734,000 at auction. Sorry, and it's not just the ad; it's the guitar as well. You guys probably probably heard me mention this already. So it's basically, what I meant was, it's basically the guitar that Eddie used in the Kramer ad back in the day, and it's kind of like a same Frankenstrat version. Like, he had so many of these guitars, the Frankenstrat version, but with the hockey stick headstock, if you remember. I believe it's probably the same style guitar he was using in the Hot for Teachers video. If you remember that video, When he's playing the solo and he's walking on the desks, that's the guitar. Anyways, that guitar sold for $2,734,000, which makes it the sixth most expensive guitar ever sold publicly. So very cool. That's a very cool guitar, though, I gotta say. Almost 3 million. Wow. Now I don't know who purchased it. They don't mention. I don't think they mention who actually purchased it. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that. Cool investment, I gotta say. And that guitar was also owned by Mick Mars of Motley Crue for a short amount of time. So I guess he's kicking himself now for not keep hanging on to that guitar. That would make a nice retirement plan. Let's see here. I had a girlfriend who was June Lockhart's niece. Being the loving family that they are, they had been waiting for 30 years to leap on her estate. I don't know what side conversation that's all about. I'm falling behind. So David said, I love Bootsy Collins. He did a great rig rundown video. I really liked him in The Groove is in the Heart. A lot of people don't know that he was involved with that. Wayne says, I got one. I paid like $600 Canadian. What are we talking about? What did you buy? I'm falling behind. I told you guys. And everything's connected says, what about those tariffs on those Harley Bentons? I don't know how the tariffs will actually affect the Harley Benton imports. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure how they affect people in the States. I can let you know when it gets here to Canada, which I don't think will be different than the last time I actually bought something from Harley Benton. But the States may be different. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I did. Dan Smith brought up a good point. He says, did you hear about the recent Paul Reed Smith layoffs? Looks like sales are stalling for everyone. Sad that it's so close to the holidays. I heard about that, but I don't know how much of it is actually true or just rumors. I'm not really sure. And I don't know how much of that is being caused by all this tariff hoopla and all that kind of stuff as well. So I'm not really sure. But that can't be good. I mean, if PRS is hurting, I'm pretty sure other companies are hurting as well. It's probably not just them. There was a great video this week that I watched on the Court factory, and it was really cool to see how many guitars are actually being built in these facilities. Court builds over, I think, 1 million guitars a year. They build for a lot of other brands, including Paul Reed Smith and a bunch of other brands. And they were showing like a factory tour, and crazy volume coming out of that plant. And they've been in business for a long time. They also have their own brand, right? But a lot of people don't know that they also make the majority of the other brands that are being made overseas. So I'm very curious to see what's going to be happening with all of that. And I think, going back to the Paul Reed Smith layoff thing, unfortunately, I think also because of the tariffs to a certain degree, The layoffs are happening in the States. Uh, their saving grace is probably the fact that they do sell a lot of guitars that are being made overseas. Um, and because of the volume of those sales, they will probably be able to pull through. But if they had to rely on their more expensive models, it'd be rough. Shane says Tony can make you an EVH guitar and it'll only charge you $1 million. Yeah, man. And for you, Shane, we can just agree on like an easy 900,000. That'd be fine. Because you're a buddy. You've been around here for a long time. All right. I wish. I wish. Not that easy, man. All right. What else is on the agenda for today, guys? There's another interesting thing that I came across, and we're talking about, should you put your guitar on your wall or keep them in a case? Apparently, more people think that they should be in cases because apparently there's some kind of a poll, some kind of a study that was done. And apparently, the electric guitar and bass case and guitar bag sales stay strong in 2025. So a lot of people are buying cases and guitar bags for their instruments, apparently. So good news there. Looks like that represents a big chunk of change for somebody. Um, and also for stores. Like it used to be that stores would throw in my day, you would even be able to get a case with it. Not anymore. Now you're lucky if you get a gig bag. Usually they'll give you a box, So I don't know when gig bags started to become really expensive, but it seems like the prices on the gig bags are going up. And it's not, you can't assume you're going to get a freebie anymore. Mean Gene says guitars and cases rarely get played. That's true, but they also rarely get damaged. So there's that. All right. Any other comments, guys? You guys are quiet today. I think you're getting worn out from all of my talking. I'm doing the talking, and you guys are getting tired. What the heck? Are you guys waiting for the big Black Friday deals? Hoping it's gonna trickle on over to guitars and gear. Um, I don't know how much of it actually will. At least not in my area. Usually the Black Friday deals are usually things like TVs and stuff like that. Sometimes some stores will jump on it as well and give you like a little teaser of a deal, but they're not really good. Hey, Richard. Richard says, sorry, late getting here. Been out and a boot. No problem, dude. Not a problem. We recently had a Rocktober event at our local Long and McQuaid stores, and it was a yawner like usual. I gotta say, Long and McQuaid needs to up their game. They usually don't have very good deals. I mean, you might save a couple of bucks, but it's nothing wow. So I usually don't pay too much attention to them because there's rarely things that I think would be like a super deal. The only thing that's good about buying stuff at a chain store like that is that sometimes they give you some kind of financing. So if you want to buy a more expensive instrument, there's that. Instead of taking the hit all at once, you can maybe finance it. Yeah, David agrees with me. He says, I haven't been blown away by the sales lately. I've been browsing used gear more lately. And Shane says, I relic my super strap by dropping a Boss pedal on it. Hey, well, that's an authentic ding. That could happen. I'd rather see that than somebody taking a hammer and chisel to it. Oh man. Hopefully, it's not too noticeable. Actually, I actually recently noticed a little ding on my Jackson guitar, the one with the pointy headstock. Well, the headstock's so pointy that the little tip of the headstock, I must have like hit it somewhere, and a little piece chipped off. And I was lucky enough to see the piece, to have the piece. It was kind of still stuck there, but loose, like it came off when I touched it. So I immediately went and uh, added some wood glue and put it back in place. But there's still a little chip there. You can't really see it, but you can feel it. So not a big deal. I could probably drop fill that with some super glue and you won't even feel it. But do I really want to do that right now? Not really. And Dan says you can buy Fender Deluxe gig bags from Stratosphere for 25 bucks. Stocking stuffer. I don't buy anything from Stratosphere anymore. I've had a bad experience with them back in the day. I talked about it here a couple of times, and I stopped giving them my money. I bought a neck that was supposed to be for a Strat build that I was working on, and it was a specific type of neck. Um, the neck that I received was not that neck. It was a different one, completely different. It was still a Strat neck, but it wasn't the same model at all, same specs. They messed up, and they sent me the wrong one. And instead of saying, "Hey, don't worry, no worries, we'll take it back and we'll send you the right one," they're like, "Oh, sorry, we sold the other one, so you're kind of stuck with that one." And instead of making it right and fixing it and sending me another one of those necks, they're like, "Ah, we'll refund your shipping or something like that," which was not very expensive if you want to keep the neck. And I'm like, I didn't want to keep the neck, and if I would have to ship it back to them, I would have to pay for it. So I'm like, all right, no worries. I'll remember that, and I never spent another dime there. I honestly believe the customer is usually right, and not always, but usually. And it's easier to keep a customer happy than try and find another one. Obviously, they don't feel that way, so that's fine by me. Jeff says Black Friday, waste of time. It's all the crap they couldn't sell throughout the year. Yeah, most of the time it is, but sometimes you can get a decent deal on something. Like I'm considering getting a larger TV. My TV is not cutting it, small TV. So I'm keeping my eyes open for something a little bit more substantial, but I don't want to spend a fortune. The eyes are not what they used to be, so there's no point in me getting a super high res 4K, 8K TV where my eyes don't even register 4K. You know what I mean? So everything's connected. Says I purchased a Harley Benton TE 62 dB CAR, 139 bucks, and separate gig bag 2160. Toman charged 81.11 for shipping, then was charged 63 for tariffs. Ooh, that hurts. Okay, so your initial purchase of like 160 bucks got tagged on another $80, another 60. Oh, that hurts. That's a lot. So I'm assuming you're in the States, right? Yeah. What to do? Either you stop ordering or you just buy local and buy used. But of course, if you're trying to buy that particular model, you're gonna have to wait a long time. My Sterling from Music Man came with a short and a long shaft, volume and tone pots, looking looks weird. So I'm replacing them with full-sized pots ordered from Seymour Duncan. Why would they do that? That's factory? I don't understand. I used to have a Music Man, and it didn't come with two-sized pots. It was just one size. All right. Rex wants to know any other guitars on your long-term wish list. Not too many for me. Maybe a Rickenbacker 660 12 or a Gibson Dove or a Hummingbird style guitar, maybe even a Chinese version, just to check build quality. So I don't have right now anyway. I don't have a wish list guitar. I'm pretty satisfied with the guitars that I have. As I mentioned earlier, I think the only one I'd be interested in checking out right now would be maybe the Harley Benton, that 80s guitar. And I don't know if they still, let me just see something here, guys. I want to see if they still have them listed. I know that they were kind of out of stock there for a while when they first came out. Apparently, I guess they were in demand because they were relatively new. Let me just take a quick look. See here. Go to the. Just trying to find them. Not easy to find them. Okay, here they are. I found them now. Here, I'll share my screen with you guys so you can see what I'm looking at least. So here we go. So these are the guitars that I'm talking about here. These are the ST80s, they call them. And they have different models, Floyd Rose. So they have the lefties and righties. So if you look at this one, so it's kind of like, a Charvel. This one is single humbucker version. As you can see here, only one. Has a nice neck on it. And if we look at some of the images close up, love the color on this one. And it does have a Floyd, and it is countersunk. So that's pretty cool, I would say. The neck carve and the little horn carve there. Look at that neck. Like if the necks look anything like that, that's nice. You know what I mean? So this is why I'm interested in checking out this guitar. It looks like, and I think it might even have the stainless steel frets on it. No locking tuners, but that's not a big deal because it's got a locking nut in the front. So anyway, this one is, but I wouldn't necessarily want this color or this model. Actually, the one that I'm interested in a little more is, let me just go back, is the double humbucker version, which is kind of like this one. And maybe this color, lime sparkle. So it's green, but not single coil, double humbucker. I'm curious about this color. It doesn't look that great on the photos, but I bet it looks better in person. And if you go with the double humbucker version, which would be, I thought it was that one, but I guess. So they have the black, and then they have the white, this one here. Yeah, that's the one. So this one is very similar to a Charvel. Lime sparkle. So they have volume and tone and a switch. I'm not crazy about where they put the location of the tone switch there. And I would have been happy just with volume and the switch and get rid of that. But it looks cool. And I think the lime sparkle could be interesting. So I'm curious to see. Maybe I'll get that one. That's generally the only one that's kind of enticing me right now. How about you guys? What's enticing you guys? Rex says one of the companies I'm coordinating with for NAM makes protective guitar bags with wheels and backpack straps. I've seen those, Rex. Those are quite handy if you're lugging a lot of gear. As you get older, they're very practical. Dan says the sad thing is you don't know about the tariffs until you get that email from UPS or FedEx. And even if you get that email and you try and figure out how they're calculating the tariffs, it never makes sense. I think they're just like throwing numbers randomly and they're like, whatever, they'll pay. Nobody's going to question it, right? Casey, I agree. Hoping this trade stuff between Canada and the US settles down soon. It would be good for us. Yeah, it would be good for everybody. But I don't know if it will. I think eventually we'll just forget about it and it'll become the norm again. Is that a double truss rod? I think it is. And David's saying, I'm looking for a T-style guitar with a humbucker in the bridge and a single coil in the neck. Interesting. That's an interesting combination. So you would have to get something that has the shorter bridge to be able to have the humbucker in the bridge position. And you say, I'll settle for a humbucker in the neck. I can also swap it out for a P90. Humbucker in the neck is more common. You'd be able to find those. My red Telecaster that I've shown on here originally came with the humbucker in the neck. I took it out. I wasn't a big fan of the humbucker in the neck. I like more of a bitey sound. The humbucker was a little bit too warm and woolly for the Telecaster, but if you get the right one in there, it could work. I think the one I had in there was a 59, a Duncan 59. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be starting my the work on my Dragon guitar, guys. It's getting cold, it's getting dark early, and I'm gonna need a project to keep my sanity during the winter time. So I'll probably start working on that. I have a feeling. Some of you have been asking me about that a few times, so I'm gonna consider starting that project. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to call it a day. I've been talking almost an hour and 40 minutes now. And I do appreciate you guys tuning in for the show. If you don't mind, give me a thumbs up on the way out. That would be great. Spread the word. It's always great to see new faces here. And we saw a few new names today. I don't know if that's related to the switch that YouTube is making or if there's just more people catching on to the show. But definitely appreciate you guys spending time here. And next week, we'll try and do that special show. So if the boys in the house are willing, Vinny, Shane, David, I'll send you out the link and we'll do it next Saturday, maybe 8 o'clock p.m. Hopefully that works for everyone. Shane has a question, so we're going to answer that. Tony, I sometimes see guitars with painted necks and fretboards. Is that a good thing to do? I don't think it is. Front of the fretboard, definitely not a good idea. I think it's one of those things where it's just kind of like a thing. Excuse me, guys. Didn't mean to cough into the microphone like that. Like the Dean guitars, the white Dean guitars that you would see on the ZZ Top videos with everything's white, including the fretboard. If a fretboard's painted, it's never a good thing. I don't think. Doesn't Firefly have a dragging guitar? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I can't really get Firefly guitars here. So, but I'd rather build my own. It's more of a challenge. See how well it turns out. And it won't be an easy build because there's some quirks about it that I need to fix. But hopefully it'll turn out good. I'm thinking positive. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And looking forward to seeing you guys too, David. So, yeah, maybe jot down some topics for the show and we'll tear it up next Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. All right? Stay safe and go and play your guitar. Hopefully I've psyched you up a little bit more where you actually want to go and grab a guitar out of the case and play a little bit today. It'll make you feel good. It'll make you feel happy. All right, guys. Rock on, my brothers. See you soon. Catch you next week. Have a good week.